Now 7 p.m.
Hang on. Unmuting.
Get it all out of your system. He's unmuting. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm calling to order a meeting of the Human Affairs Committee. It is September 15th, 2025, at 7 p.m. In the Aldermanic Chamber. It is fully noticed in 2 places, including the city's website, in accordance with the requirements of RSA 91-A:2, Roman numeral 2. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance.
Alderman Chris Thibodeau.
Here.
Alderman Tim Sennett is here. Alderwoman at Large Gloria Timmons. Alderwoman at Large Shoshana Kelly, Vice Chair.
I'm here.
And Alderman Tom Lopez, Chair.
I'm here.
We have 4 in attendance. Also joining us this evening is, I see Director Sullivan. I do not see Kevin Rourke or Camille Correa.
Well, hopefully Chief Rourke will be joining us.
Well, we have a representative from the police department. Just walked in.
Alderman Kelly, what did you say?
We have a representative from the police department. Just walked in.
Wonderful. We'll take
I
it.
can't see you.
Sorry.
No worries. We're just worried about a massive amount of grant money and then nobody to tell us why. So we did the roll call public comment. Anybody wishing to make public comment, please approach the microphone. Seeing none. Discussions, presentations,
There are none.
communications,
There are none.
unfinished business,
There is none.
new business resolutions.
We have R25-201 relative to the acceptance of $650,000 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Safety into police grant activity fiscal year 2026 Granite Shield Substance Abuse Reduction Initiative SARI grant. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage.
All right, the motion is heard. We will discuss it. Can we explain why it's called the SARI grant?
Yeah, so it's typically called Granite Shield. They just changed the Granite Shield this year. It keeps fluctuating with names.
It sounds apologetic.
Yeah, definitely. One year it was a Substance Abuse Reduction Initiative. The next it's Granite Shield, but they always come up with a new name every year. So this is for the acceptance of 650 grand. These are state funds from the Department of Safety. And this is set to last for 2 years. Typically, it's 1 year that these grant funds are initiated. So that's why it looks so high, 650 grand. Typically, it's only 325 that we get is the ballpark of how much we get. But this makes it easier for everybody instead of us having to come back every year, and makes it easier for them as well. And this is these are funds that we use to fight the substance-related abuse and trafficking. And these will be used in conjunction with Hudson Police as well. To help out with these investigations.
My 2 questions are typically, are we the only ones getting this? And then Alderman Kelly, are you going to ask if we have to match it?
I don't have to, but I could. I don't.
There's no match with this. It is just straight funds. And this is statewide. I know at least for a fact Manchester gets it as well. So it is well spread out throughout the state.
Does it cover personnel costs, equipment, all the above?
Just overtime cost for conducting these investigations.
I have a question.
Alderman
go ahead.
Kelly. Alderman Thibodeau first.
You can't see me.
I did reach out to Karen Smith, so I asked my typical question, and it is a state level grant, not a pass-through grant, so I was informed of that, so I will be voting in favor.
Perfect.
Alderman Kelly.
I think you mentioned it, but is this a level funded, or does it change year to year?
No, so it does change year to year. You apply, and whatever funds they do have, they and whoever applies for it, they separate it based on that. The ballpark we have received yearly has been around 325 to 350. So the reason this is so high is just because it is over the course of 2 years as opposed to 1 single year each time. So it looks like a large number. So
Great, thank you.
Actually, I do have.
Alderman Thibodeau.
Do you know, other than from the state of New Hampshire, is the overall source of these, like recovery funds from things seized through arrests and
that's a
stuff?
great
I'm
question.
just curious.
I don't know where they actually get the
curious.
funds from and all that. That's a great question. That's a great question. But I don't know where they get the funds from.
It's
No,
interesting.
I'm sorry, sir.
That's okay.
It's issued by the state of New Hampshire, though?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then it's their problem.
No, that was
Money
literally
laundering, that's a
for
whole bigger
nosiness.
problem. And he'll be the one investigating it.
Right?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
Any
investigation.
productive questions from the rest of the committee?
Productive.
Yeah. I've had too much fun with this. All right, then, All in favor of recommending final passage, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next up, we have R-25-202, relative to the acceptance of $48,200 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Safety into Police Grant Activity, New Hampshire Highway Safety Fiscal Year 2026 Grant. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage.
All right, the motion is on the floor. Would you like to give us a summary of this too?
Perfect. So this is actually a federal pass-through grant funded by United States Department of Transportation. There is a 25% match on this. We have gotten this over the years, and it fights basically, speeding, distracted driving, DUI, and many of the main causes for traffic accidents in New Hampshire. It's definitely has, assisted in reducing the amount of stops that we've conducted, and over the years through this grant has just been, astronomical, just to kind of put an end to all these reasons that there are motor vehicle accidents in New Hampshire. And this runs till September 30th, 2026.
Does it cover specifically highways? Is it like a turf-based
No,
thing?
so
or-
so we essentially get to choose where we patrol based on our hotspots. We look at our numbers through our crime analyst. She's able to, give us numbers of where the most accidents are happening, whether it be on Amherst Street, Daniel Webster Highway, or Main Street. And that's where I tell the officers to focus when they do go out there. They go out in 4-hour shifts. And I give them, hey, today you're going to be focusing on speed, and the next guy, hey, you're going to be focusing on distracted driving during this, or you're going to be looking for, drivers who are operating under the influence. So that basically is what it covers.
Well, I already sent my 2 cents into the various police officers, but there was a car show happening on Friday nights.
I drive past
and
that Target.
ridiculous amount of cars just blasting through Main Street on Friday night with everybody out.
My question is, I passed by it, but they all had their seats pointed towards the roadway, and I assume that can only be so they could see the cars racing by before they enter the parking lot. But that was on my own personal time. I was headed into Nashville to go get dinner. I'm like, why are they pointing towards the road when all the cars are inside the parking lot? But
Well, either way, I'm glad nobody got hit.
yeah, exactly. They've been doing that for a while now, I think. But I think at some point the property owner was for it and kind of turned against it at some point, but hasn't really put anything towards it to stop it. But
Are there events that are predictable where you can be like, oh, okay, this is motorcycle weekend, we should definitely be out in force, we know something.
no, and honestly, we haven't had the trouble that you would anticipate at these types of car shows. There hasn't been an uptick in accidents.
Yeah, and I wasn't singling that out. Well, I was when I was complaining about it
Yeah.
because I was getting a lot of residents saying, but in general, as a policing action, are there different times of year, different events that you would identify as, obviously New Year's is a big night.
Yeah, and so through this grant, they actually have certain times where they pick a high volume date where there's more likely to be intoxicated drivers out there, and they give you like 10 days, and they give you a specific amount of money. Hey, we want you to spend this much money. You have to work during these days to enforce, whether it be DUI or whatever it may be. So.
Okay. Alderman Kelly?
I'm assuming since this is a grant you get year over year, that you already identified the matching funds
Yes.
in your budget. Great, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. All right. All those in favor of recommending final passage, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yay.
All right, then next up, we have R-25-204, relative to the acceptance of $68,250 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Transportation State Fiscal Year 2026-2027 Capital Match Funds into Transit Grant Activity Transit Capital Projects, and $534,638 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Transportation State Fiscal Year 2026-2027 Operating Match Funds into Transit Grant Activity Federal Transit Administration FTA Operating Grant. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage.
All right, the motion is on the floor. Director Sullivan, would you like to?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director, here on behalf of R-25-204. I apologize to Alderman Sennett for having to read the entire description of this piece of legislation, but it actually captures the function quite well. We're trying to request really 2 separate pots of money, both through New Hampshire Department of Transportation. I do want to make it clear that these are state of New Hampshire budget funds that are allocated as part of the biennial budget. but they are used as match to receive our federal transportation dollars. So our FTA monies come in, we're required to provide a match to those. We use city dollars, and then we also use the state money that's appropriated as part of the state budget. So sort of an interesting way that the NTS services are funded. The two pots I referred to, one being the capital match funds, specifically the $68,250. Those funds will be used to match vehicle purchases, seat upgrades, and some other small capital projects at NTS facilities, both at the Transit Center and at our Riverside Drive location. And then the $534,638 is actually split into 2 years, of course, $267,000 in fiscal year 26 and $267,000 in fiscal year 27. That operating money we use to directly match our regular operating costs for the Nashua Transit System. As a sort of, I guess, high-level reminder, that $260,000 may seem like a lot of money. Our annual budget is about $4.3 to $4.7 million, depending upon the year. So it's actually a very small portion of the NTS's total operating budget, but it does give some context. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. These are regular sources of funding that come in. There have been some risks in recent years that the state money would be decreased substantially, but luckily, even in a very tight state budget year, we were able to maintain relatively level funding, which was really encouraging news that we didn't know at the time of the budget process here in the city. So that was great for us. But again, happy to answer any questions that folks may have, but hopeful to accept these funds and appreciate this getting on the agenda so quickly past first reading, which was done at the Board of Aldermen just last week. So thank you for hearing it.
How stable is the federal funding that this would be the match towards?
Yes, Alderman Lopez, Mr. Chair, that's a great question. It's about as stable as any federal funding can be at this time, quite honestly, and I mean that in a very positive way, actually. And what I mean by that is, as opposed to perhaps our home funds, as an example, where there's direct conversation about elimination of the home program in coming federal budgets, there's been no indication that transportation or public transit funding will be cut in any drastic fashion. So when I say about as positive as it can be, I actually mean that. There's been no direct indication that we would lose these monies. That said,
not all funding is created equal. I mean, we're on this committee
That's right.
usually focusing on HUD and home, but like Department of Defense is getting their funding. So
yeah.
there are some programs that are being.
Yep,
you know,
and I would suggest this is sort of a middle ground, Alderman Lopez, where we feel pretty comfortable because, there seems to be a recognition that public transportation is something that would be very hard to suddenly cease or halt because of the populations that it serves. And so I don't feel very nervous that this number would go away or these federal funds would go away. What I do get nervous about are really two separate things. One, that there'd be a reduction in funds for some reason, or two, that for some reason, because of the state budget, these monies were not available past this biennial period. But that's a conversation for another time. But you have given me an opportunity to just make one statement, and that is that, Alderman Lopez, I know you've participated in this process, I think once or twice. The governor's hearings on the statewide transportation plan, the GASSET hearings as they're referred to, are coming up in October. They are GASSET, G-A-C-I-T. It's sort of an old-fashioned process, but one that is absolutely critical for City of Nashua transportation projects. It's essentially a public hearing process that they do across the state of New Hampshire, where folks come in, individuals from municipalities, members of the Board of Aldermen, mayors, staff, and basically testify on behalf of their projects that they'd like to see included in the plan. We're hearing that there are significant funding shortfalls within the statewide transportation plan, and that there may be cuts needed at a very, very significant level. And so as we approach an October GASSET hearing that will take place in Hudson, and I'm happy to share the details of that, it is possible that either myself or Engineer Hudson or others may be reaching out, requesting that folks attend those meetings and speak to things that maybe were not at risk of being funded in the past, but maybe at risk of being funded in the future. And statewide public transportation funding is a great example of that. And so we are likely to go to that meeting, as we often do, and say public transportation funding is critical, but we're likely going to try to build a coalition of folks to speak not only to that, but to other projects like the Walnut Street Oval or West Hollis Street or Amherst Street Corridor, we're likely going to try to really build a coalition. And I'm sorry for the digression into that, Alderman Lopez, but I just remembered that hearing's coming up, and it's a really important one every 2 years. And so
No,
I'm
and I
happy
opened
to-
the door because I'm worried about funding. So any suggestions you have for making sure we sustain it is.
That's a big one. And it's old-fashioned, but it's a really, the executive counselor is there, they listen to testimony, and it's important. And literally, I've been in calls recently, and they're saying, you have to go to your GASI hearing, you have to go to your GASI hearing. They will literally potentially eliminate, not by choice, but they'll eliminate projects if they don't hear they're a priority. Even if it's as simple as going there and saying, I'm from Nashua, I support all of the transportation projects in Nashua, like that will have value. So we probably will put a call out to the members of the Board of Aldermen. No, everyone can't be there, but we may even ask you to submit a letter to support some of the stuff we're working on. So I'll save that for another time, but just wanted to make you aware.
Alderman Senate.
I hate to stay on the tangent, but would that be the 10-year plan hearings?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So if I'm reading this correctly, the first 2 were canceled, and the next 2 are tomorrow at 6 o'clock at Manchester Community College and Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Brentwood Recreation Center in Brentwood.
That's correct. And the one that we're going to be aiming for is on Tuesday, October 7th. And it will be at Lyons Ave in Hudson, New Hampshire, which I think is a community center or something to that effect over there. That's the closest one to us, Alderman Senate, and our counselor will be there.
So it's like a series of these
It
sessions?
is, yep.
Okay.
It's a series statewide. They go to each section of the state to hear about local transportation priorities, and that's the Hudson one is the closest one to us.
With regards to the funding sources, I note that capital funds are going into one account, and then
Yes.
obviously personnel costs are being kept in a separate one as well. Are there any capital investments that are being planned?
Yes, there are, Alderman Lopez. There are really 3 projects specifically that we identified, and they're going to sound familiar because these projects have come to you and to finance in different pieces, I guess I would say. So there are 3 projects. One being some circuit breaker work over at the transit center. We have some upgrades to make over there in our electrical system, although the transit center was redone. Our electrical system actually needs some additional enhancements to support some of the technology that we're working to implement over there. We're also going to do some rework to the sidewalks and repaint the crosswalks that are out here because that work needs to be redone, even just a few years removed from that renovation. So that's project 1. Project 2 is we're going to be making some upgrades to bus stop signage in some areas. We have some signs that are deficient and we just need to make some changes. And we're also moving some stops around in a few locations, and we'll be doing a whole public outreach notification for that, so that won't happen by surprise. And then finally, the one you've definitely heard about is we're trying to purchase 3 ADA van cutaway vans for paratransit service, and they're 16 passenger vehicles that are part of the SURF, but we're now kind of working to find the match funding to match what's in the SURF right now. 3 individual projects.
With regard to those, the sidewalk repainting,
Yes.
there's nothing we can do about lining the buses up better with the size of the sidewalk.
Alderman Lopez, I don't want to say there's nothing we can do, but you'll see that sometimes they are aligned and sometimes they aren't. Unfortunately, we have several length vehicles that we, as you know well, it literally depends on the Lego pieces that are out there and whether or not they actually line up with the sidewalk, and quite often they don't. One of the issues is that if you park a larger bus too far forward, Alderman Lopez, to keep that sidewalk clear, you then actually lose ADA access on the front unload area. So I will openly admit, and I haven't done this in public, I don't think, that we have made the priority decision to put the ADA, to put it in a position where the ADA ramp can extend from the bus. But to your point, the crosswalk does get obstructed. And so we aren't planning any changes to that. I know it's not the perfect alignment, but
I would have been impressed if you figured out a solution, because like you said, I was there, could clearly see the front of the bus. If you put
Yeah.
another bus behind it, it blocks it. And I think, unfortunately, the only solution is for people to either wait for the buses to leave and then use it,
Yep.
which is the safer way to go, or plan their attendance on the bus so that they're not trying to get across it when buses are coming in. Easier said than done for many people, because they have to be
Yep.
different places at different times, but I mean,
we had a day out there where we literally sat with a bus and kind of tried every configuration possible to get both the crosswalk obstruction issue addressed and get the ramp issue, and it was very, very difficult. So I don't want to say we've accepted defeat there, but it's very challenging to make that work when the buses are loading on the 30s and on the hour. So not ideal.
Is that at the bus station right here?
Yeah,
That's
we-
correct. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
buses line up in such a way that they block the ramp. So if somebody's in a, well, specifically, there was one resident who for a while was driving around in his scooter, his motorized wheelchair, like below eye level for drivers, and it was worrying people. And it was the thought at the time that he was trying to get up onto the curb, but he was in fact just looping around for fun and has found a different place to go drive around, so there's that. Any other questions?
I did one more.
Alderman Thibodeau?
For 100% clarity purposes, these are both state for the match fund of A, but these are state funds.
Yeah, Alderman Thibodeau, I was listening to the prior conversation and I knew you would ask. I just looked through the grant agreements and I don't want to give myself an out here, but I'm 100% sure these are state funds. It is odd though, because even the state identifies that they will be used, or they have to be used to match FTA monies. But I'm going to say it for the record, I'm 100% sure these are not federal monies that are passing through. They wouldn't be able to be used as match against
To
other
themselves.
federal. Yeah,
Right.
I do get confused though, I have to admit on this sometimes, but I'm certain that these are. I'll say this, if I find out tomorrow morning that they aren't, I will go to the Board of Aldermen next week, seriously, and I'll clarify this, but I'm certain. I do get
Take
confused.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor of recommending final passage, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
New business ordinances?
There are none.
Tabled in committee.
There is none.
Any general discussion from members of the committee? Alderman Thibodeau?
I do. I'm actually hoping somebody can answer a question for me. I have a constituent concerned about crossing guards. I know it's not Human Affairs Committee related, but maybe one of you has the
Board of
answer.
Education?
I reached out to Director Cummings, and he pointed me towards Crystal in the
The-
school department.
Yep.
Crystal
yep.
DeGray.
Is
Oh,
that
during
great.
school,
Yep.
crossing
All
guards,
right.
okay.
But he wasn't 100% sure. He said, I'm pretty sure.
She's the one who does all the finance stuff. Ultimately, I think the buck really stops at Superintendent Andrade, but
Okay.
hypothetically, it stops at the Board of Education, but really, maybe Superintendent
All
Andrade.
right. And specifically for hiring a replacement for one that is leaving on Wednesday, and the constituents are concerned that there's nobody to replace that position immediately. So I'm trying to find out, to put their mind at ease, that there will be an adult human individual at that crosswalk come Wednesday.
You busy Wednesday?
Huh?
You busy Wednesday?
They take volunteers.
I,
The greatest campaign opportunity ever. A hero among men, you know. I thought about doing
I
it.
do
but they
look
don't-
dashing in one of those bright orange jump vests.
I've been told they don't want blind crossing guards, so I'm out.
You're out.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Just as a note, as chair, I intended to have support from the recovery housing to present on the different programs, not because there's any ordinance pending or anything like that, because I think it's important for the committee to kind of remain abreast of situations before we suddenly start seeing grants go by and concerns raised by citizens about X, Y, or Z. So I was planning to do recovery programs. I will be reaching out to them for October. And then I think we're overdue for our tenant rights briefing, where generally we'll have different city departments come in and talk about, you know, what does the city do to document concerns that are raised about where people are staying, and then what are the resources that are available for them. All right,
I do have one more item that is human affairs related.
all right, get in there.
If I may. Last meeting, we had Director Bagley, and they gave us a rundown, and we asked if a list could be made available sooner rather than later of potential needs, wants, desires. And they said they would get that to us immediately. I don't know if anybody else got it.
I have
but
not received that
Chris Thibodeau
communication.
did not get it. And
I
I'm
did
just
not
curious if
receive it.
anyone else got one.
I didn't receive it, we could request a follow-up. I also did notice that in the meeting where we had them and were asking about possibilities of when the warming station could start, they also announced that they would be doing it on the same date that they plan to, so they won't be, it doesn't look like they have an intention of trying to open it before Thanksgiving break.
Alderman
means-
Lopez?
Yep.
Just clarifying, you just said a list of, can you
We were
just-
asking about
I can't remember.
mops or sugar or
Oh,
coffee, supplies.
The supplies for the,
Yeah.
okay, thank you,
Yeah, for the warming center, yeah.
thank you. I was like, trying to think back
Sorry,
in my
that
mind.
definitely was not a very clear statement, but yes, that's what I intended.
No, I mean, I remembered it, but like, only because I happened to be involved in it last year, and we
Yeah.
had a mop that was tied to a broom. So yes, it would be good if the city, and when it's running programs like that, could take advantage of people who are willing to just donate to it. You know, everything we have doesn't have to cost money or necessarily go through an RFP if it's a
Right.
mop or coffee.
Sugar, I remember sugar.
Yes, lots of sugar. Slightly human affairs adjacent. We're all aware at this point, but just for anybody who may be at home listening, Greater National Interfaith Housing Justice and Granite State Organizing Project are hosting their housing forum with the candidates for the Board of Aldermen Wednesday, September 17th at 7 p.m. at the Main Street United Methodist Church. I encourage everybody to go, whether you're a candidate or not. It was a very good conversation 2 years ago. I'm looking forward to see how the needle's moved since then.
Awkward phrasing, okay. All right, so any further general discussion? Okay, no. Public comments? There's no member of the public here, so I'm assuming there's none. Remarks by aldermen. Anyone want to make an announcement?
Not an announcement, but I just want to send out wishes for healing energy for our colleague at large, Gloria Timmons. She's been down and out a little bit lately. I won't go further than that, but
Okay. Always a good sentiment. And my phrasing was just because I've noticed in committees that the discussion part versus the comments part seems to be muddy. So discussion is someone brings a topic up and we all discuss. The comments are, hey, everybody, don't forget the crop walk's coming up in October. All right. Any other comments? Already planning for it.
I'm good.
All right, seeing none, can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at
7:27.
7:27.